to for CRA that shows like all the counties here that are taking them off.
Okay.
So anything in green have now taken off. So the entire bottom row of counties have taken it off. I think that's Calhoun.
Jackson, still on.
Is that Monroe? Jackson's still on, Kalamazoo's still on, and then pretty much everything north is still on. But so we're kind of in that bottom row. Everybody's within the same week. I think they started last week, but we did this week. All right, what else do I got? We ended our night shift. But if something happens, we'll put somebody on that particular night or something if we see a storm coming or something. But MDOT's good with it. I believe we reached our 80% for salt, so I don't know if we have to take any more. We'll see where we sit for the end of the year.
How are our salt barns?
I believe the outlying ones are pretty good. I don't know about this one, but
This looks pretty full out here.
yep. So
Okay.
I think we're sitting okay. I guess that's about all I've got for right now. There's a couple more things farther down the agenda, but we were looking at or I was looking at possibly purchasing 2 used High Rangers. There was a couple of them for sale.
To use High Rangers?
Yeah, the aerial
I
bucket
heard Tire Rangers, that's why I was.
High.
Thank you. Okay.
There was a couple of them for sale that were pretty good price, pretty good shape, but when we got to talking with a couple of the factory reps for International, they were like, you might want to stay away from that engine that's in them. It's got the max force engines.
Oh.
And so,
Yeah.
so we elected we'll take your advice and we'll keep looking.
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things, if we can sell our man lift, which nobody seems to want to run, it's a different kind of thing, but there's 2 people in that bucket, and nobody ever seems to want to be the guy operating the controls while another guy's got a chainsaw. So if we sell that, we think it'll probably go for in the 20,000 range. Our old High Reach may get 5,000 if we, that's an old piece of junk. But those 2 new ones, they weren't new, they're used, but they were only asking 21 each for those. And they were like 2017, 2018s with a couple 100,000 miles on them. But they were good shape. They look like a consumer's truck, basically.
Yeah.
So we'll still keep looking, I guess, is what I'm saying. Is we need to get rid of that old High Reach. It's served a good life. Needs to go. So just so you know, that's kind of still on my radar. Other than that, I guess we can hit the other stuff on or I guess that goes to old business then. If you got any questions?
I have a couple.
Okay.
So do we have a timetable to put the new tube in on Territorial east of Bird Lake Road?
Not yet. Let me see where we're at there. Really, I guess we can start looking at getting it delivered. We just have to be ready to have it dug out and have it when it's delivered so they can set it right off the truck and put it in there. So it's more of a scheduling thing now. So, the frost laws are off today,
Yeah.
So
the tube's coming from which company?
I believe that one is
The one in Charlotte, I think.
No, what's my hat say? Oh, I gotta tell you more. What?
I think it's St. Regis.
St. Regis.
Okay.
Aren't they in Charlotte?
No,
They're partway up the state.
yeah.
It's not a big deal. They'll deliver whatever day we want to deliver it. They'll deliver it that day. and,
He's gotta get a crane.
yeah.
Well,
great.
I talked with them at the road conference
Yeah, they gotta
on
get
Wednesday,
special
and
truck.
they gotta get a special trailer to haul that thing, cause it's so long.
Yes.
They need a couple weeks' notice.
Yes,
So,
that was part of their bid, that said that, but, yeah,
uh,
so really, that's more of just a scheduling thing right now, we gotta have the
Okay.
people and the guys and that, you know, them being able to get the tube down here, and so,
and
they say it should be that here too, the,
anticipate maybe that the road will be closed for a couple days.
Yeah.
So,
max of 1 work week, so, but I wouldn't think it would go that far.
yeah, I really would, you know, I don't wanna see that road closed over the weekend if we can avoid
But
it,
I don't think it should, no.
because from here on out, the traffic on the weekends is horrendous.
So that's, yeah, that one's happening.
And then the other one is any update or any new word on the Elm Road Bridge?
That one,
We're still waiting on.
the
Same
permit
with
was
Eagle.
submitted to Eagle, but we're just waiting on Eagle. There is a new person in Eagle than what we've dealt with in the past, but we're just waiting on that permit to come back.
Usually once it gets submitted, it could be anywhere about 2 to 3 months to hear anything back. And that's just, doesn't mean approval,
Gotta
there
love
can be
working with-
suggestions to change.
Government agencies, huh?
I have a comment on Howie Kessler. I went over to John Deere purposefully to talk with Howie after the first meeting. And he was in his office on some kind of a call, so I didn't get a chance to talk with him. And I was also gonna get a hydraulic hose, and when I found out how much an inch they were gonna charge me for a hydraulic hose, I went somewhere else. So I didn't get a chance to talk to Howie. But I wanted to talk to him about his idea of the berm and bringing it back into the road, which he would be very
Everybody-
disappointed with that.
Everybody thinks that berm's nice gravel.
No,
It's not. It's got organics and all kinds of stuff in it. And when you bring it in, then you have a mud hole that everybody complains about. So it's not, some of them, yes. And then it's gotta be selected few. Some of them, yes, you can bring some of it in. But for the people that think that we can just come in and bring the berm in and everything's hunky-dory, it's not. It's the nastiest road you've had in forever.
My observation is the only way that really works is if you de-berm the road.
Pick it up.
And get rid of it, and then you scrape it every year after that, and bring
Yes.
what little berm you have and bring that in,
I agree.
and you don't have this massive amount of material that is collected over 20 or 30 or 40 years.
right,
I
but
agree.
even then,
And we're dealing with that like right now with Allen Township. They've had a lot of their roads deburned. And that's their biggest complaint is they were just deburned just a few years ago. Why are we starting to get a berm? And I agree. And so we're having the grader to bring that in. And so any of those roads that have been done, I would say within the past 5, 6, 7 years, they should be able to bring whatever there and keep it that way, as long as they always
what
put their
people,
blade to daylight.
people need to understand about a gravel road though, is in the wintertime when they're plowing snow, if the road isn't froze,
It's gonna go over there.
the blade of the truck is gonna throw the gravel off of the road.
But I do agree, when we go back out in the spring, they need to bring that
Right.
back in.
If they've got a berm like that, yeah, they can bring that in, but when you got a berm like that,
Mhm.
you bring that in, you're
Yes,
gonna be
I agree.
really disappointed.
So any of them that have been done in the past recently, should be no problem from here on out keeping the berm off of them.
I don't know what it's like in the northern part of the county, but I know one of the things I see down my way is that a lot of our gravel roads, there's no ditch. The farmers are farming right to the edge of the road.
I
There's
drove
no
with a
ditch,
few.
and so the edge of the ditch,
Yeah,
edge of the road becomes the ditch.
yeah,
You know, and it costs a lot of money to put in a ditch in those situations.
I rode with a couple of them, which are recently Amboy and Ransom. They've got that exact
Yeah,
problems, and they're like, if you need to come in here with a grader and cut a V ditch, which would roll the backside up into the field, they'd have to disc it in next time they do it, they're fine with it. And so that may be, and that's a simple fix, I mean, so we may have to do some of those, cause there's just no drainage anywhere on some of those roads.
Exactly.
But that's all takes time and effort.
Yeah.
I mean,
And money.
money, yeah. Yes, yeah.
So, House Nick Road, I've been hearing about House Nick Road,
You're sick of it,
it
right?
doesn't matter what I say, they're angry. So I need to know, and the road commission needs to have a plan, that is, has House Nick Road been driven down by our supervisors? Is it where all the other roads are? Is it worse? Is it better? Are we having this conversation because there's more people live on it, or because there are vocal people live on it?
I drove the road right after that meeting,
Okay.
last meeting.
Okay.
It's really, I don't wanna say any worse than a lot of other roads, cause there's some roads in the county that are not bad at all. That's one of them that I would classify probably one of the worst ones, but it does have berm, and it's got significant berm on it, and it's gonna take an actual project to haul that stuff off. It's not something, we're not just gonna bring it into the road a little at a time.
Okay, so I don't know how you talked to Mr. Kesselring, and
Was that who was
that
there?
was here, Howie Kesselring and his sister, which is Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones making,
The most
giving
noise.
us the information.
Okay.
And they need to understand that, because what I'm saying isn't resonating with them. And we know that Moscow Township has no money for any road projects.
They actually, I talked to Bill yesterday,
Mhm.
and he said they are not doing any projects to include Brian
Correct,
this year, other than what Stone Co's giving them for gravel.
correct.
That's it.
Correct.
That's all they're doing this year.
And I will say, Mary and Howie were at the Moscow meeting for the budget.
Okay.
I was there, and they said, yeah, we understand the township doesn't have any money, but yet they want the road commission to fix that road. Now again, what he's saying about bringing in berms, that is the mantra we've been hearing for 4 years from citizens who say that this is a maintenance issue and we should be taking care of it. So that needs to be communicated well for the people who live on House Nick Road to understand we are doing our job. To better that road, there's gotta be a match from Moscow Township.
Yes.
Cause as much as I say it, they're not hearing it.
Gary,
I've said the same thing multiple times on the phone to probably both of them. I just didn't recognize the names.
Right,
You know, put
Mary
two and two
Smith and
together.
Howie Kesselring.
Yes.
Gary says I've got a sixth sense of humor, but can we take a motor grader out there and bring that berm in and show them exactly what?
Cause they'll be right back there and burn it right back up.
No, I mean, let them drive down there, or try to drive down it.
That would be ugly, cause there are significant burns on that one.
And that would be a mess.
And I will say, when I drove the road, I drove House Nick all the way down to
Brown
Denning.
or Denny?
Rode all the way down Denning, then Denning up to Sterling, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and I would say that there's a farmer there, and I'm not sure who the farmer is, and they are plowing right, or fitting, right next to the road. I don't know if we have a problem with that.
I could
House
think-
Nick or Dennings?
I could think of two.
That's all over the county.
Well,
I could think of two farmers in that area that are probably doing that.
right next to the road.
Yeah.
Again, if we need to, we can take a grader and plow a V
Right,
ditch,
right.
you know.
Right.
And like I've told them, if they got winter wheat or they got alfalfa or something in there, we'll see how lightly we can do. But if it's like last year's cornfield that they're gonna disc up or do something, I'll roll it right into there.
I believe there's nothing planted. It looks like they fit it last fall, because a lot of farmers are, I don't know. if they
Doing fall
do it.
tillage.
They're
Yeah.
doing fall tillage,
Yeah.
so it's already been rolled in,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's planted.
Well, if
But
that's the
I
case,
did notice
then,
that. So again, if you're addressing that road, please address that as well.
and it would have to be, when we do deburn, that would be part of the spot ditching or the ditching that go along with it.
Doug's got something to say.
Go ahead.
Yes. I can just FYI, that I've received emails from Mary Smith as well.
Right, and they
So
were
she's-
forwarded to us,
Okay,
yes,
Okay.
well, at least one,
Well,
I
I've got-
don't know if there's multiple.
there are,
One,
I've
okay.
received multiple.
Okay,
And voicemails and.
So
Mhm.
I then have a question.
And I haven't answered her, I did
Yes.
forward, I think,
Yeah.
to Katie. Yeah.
right,
Then it's not your responsibility to answer her.
It's what?
It's not your responsibility
Right,
to answer
Right,
her.
so I bring it to you, FYI, yeah.
So my question is, you know, it looks to me like there's 3 miles of house neck in Moscow Township, and maybe a mile in Scipio Township. So is
they're in,
all 4 miles of house neck bad, or is
well,
there
say
one
yeah. I would
particular
say
mile
yes.
worse than the other, or?
It's hit or miss, but it's all need work.
well, what Mary, I have heard this, I'm not sure if I've heard Howie agree with her. Well, yeah, I think he does. Is that the portion of House Neck Road that is to the west, if you say it's in Scipio, I
It
know it's
is.
in Fayette, but
No, it's
anyway.
in Scipio.
Okay, it's in Scipio Township, they will say it gets taken care of better and nobody lives on it. I really wish we could dispel that, because now I haven't driven down it, but as I look down the road, it doesn't look like it's in better condition, but again,
It may get scraped by a different driver, cause it's
Right.
a different beat. But usually, unless that happens to be one of the 4 corners, the graders have 4 townships. The trucks have individual townships, so the truck might do that township better than this guy, or more often or something, but the grader, and when it comes around, should be doing everything the same.
well, I think I've also heard that House Nick is some kind of a, in Scipio Township, is a connector over to Sweet Clover Hills or something that way. And that whoever grades it, or not grades it, whoever scrapes it tends to use it to get around, and so it gets hit more frequently than what House Nick Road to the east does, potentially. Again, someone who knows what's really going on needs to understand and talk with these people, that let them know that we're doing what we can and how much is on Moscow Township because they have no money.
So Moscow's is west of Sterling.
Yep.
Or east of
East.
Sterling.
Wait, no, now we're talking Sterling, no.
No,
House Neck
Mills.
is
Mills.
Mills. Mills
Mills,
Road
okay.
is that divider. And east of Mills, House Neck is Moscow Township. West
Okay,
is,
It's actually on a border road going
Yes.
west, that 1 mile is a
so
border.
it is Fayette and Scipio.
Yeah,
The
it's a
truck
border
that
road.
takes care of House Neck Road east of Mellons comes out of Jerome, and the truck that takes care of House Neck Road west of Mellons comes out of Hillsdale. Whether that makes a difference or not, but
Well, Scipio buys a lot more material to put on their roads during patching, and Moscow, very minimal.
Well, and if that's a border road, I don't know what agreement Fayette and Scipio have. But Fayette also has more money for their, because they
They
have very,
put quite a bit
yes,
more on there too.
yes. So again, that, I mean, I tried to communicate that with them,
I know,
and I just,
they're got their own ideas.
yes.
Now, if at some point in time, some of this funding goes through,
Yeah.
and we have more money, we could maybe get a few more people, but more money, we could possibly lower the match, or,
Right.
you know, so don't put so much burden on the township, and make it easier for them to do all those
And even
things.
do a little more under maintenance.
Yes, yeah, exactly, well, that's what it would be.
Yeah.
We take that bigger percentage under maintenance and,
And so maybe we could get to a point where you could de-berm like it really needs to be done.
Yep.
You might only do a mile a year, but at least you'd be doing something to try to improve the thing long-term.
and that's the other thing people don't understand, you just say you do a mile a year. We did a mile a year in every township, that's 18 miles.
Yeah.
We got 580 some gravel road miles. I mean, you do the math, and that's 18 miles of de-berm is a lot in a year for what we've got. You know,
I talked to the
it's difficult.
manager of Van Buren at the road show, and that's what he said. He said, you sit down with people and tell them, yeah, we'll do these many miles a year, and he said, in 100 and some years,
We'll get back around to this one.
we'll be done.
Okay,
It is, okay.
anybody else have any questions for Bob?
No,
Okay, old business, any old business we need to deal with? If not, we'll move on to new business.
you gotta approve the clerk.
So this is the transfer of the,
Right, they do it every year.
So
and
is
this year
there,
it's gonna be a little higher.
so is there a dollar amount we need to approve?
Yep,
Yep.
it's $1,907,268.91. That we have to take from primary and transfer it to local,
So we need a motion,
yes,
so
And then-
moved.
And that's for 2024.
yes.
Yes.
And how, go ahead, motion first, then question.
He has moved, do I have a support?
Support,
Okay, so I have a motion from Mark and a support from Kathy to make this transfer.
approximately what has been the amounts we transferred the last
I
two?
think last year it was like 1.8,
1.7, 1.8.
I would have to look at
Because,
it and
and I'll say, since I've been here, we've done a lot of work on local roads. And so we've had to transfer more from primary to local than probably in years past. It might have been around $1 million or thereabouts in years past. This year, it's gonna go back the other way where we're gonna have to do a lot of work on primary roads this year. And we kind of planned that. So that's why it's in that ballpark.
Because I would say our primary roads are
I-
looking,
I agree, but like I said, for the last 3 years that I know of, we've done a lot of work on local roads.
You know,
We've got to get a lot of work done on some primary. We're gonna see a lot of paver patching and chip seal this year on primary roads.
one year we didn't do any work on local roads, none.
No?
We did all primary,
And I don't like to do those drastic, I mean, it needs to be a little bit of both, but you need to, balance it out, but this year it's gonna be primary.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion to transfer money from the primary to the local roads, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is approved. Okay,
Next thing is the drug and alcohol testing policy that you guys signed or approved back in November. Policy number 102. Was agreed by the association. We went to arbitration and we weren't quite sure what they were agreeing at the time of it, but it wound up being the part of, which would be on page number.
no page numbers. Maybe I put page number down.
So it's fourth page. At the very top of it says C searches.
Yep.
Well, that portion was, because a lot of this was part of the old drug policy. Part of it was the one that Kalamazoo had come up with their lawyers. And so they agreed that search was unlawful or whatever. The arbitrator, when we sat down with them, we're like, okay, so if that's what you're complaining about, we'll take the old search, the wording out of the old policy that everybody signed, and we'll insert it back into this one for the searches. Everything else stays the same. They agreed to it. So that's what this is that C under searches is the verbiage out of the old contract, or the old policy, put back into this one. And so now it makes this the new policy as long as you guys sign it.
Move to approve.
They don't really say a whole lot different, but
Right.
that was what
I
they
would
were
move
stuck
to
with.
approve the revised drug policy 102.
Support.
okay,
And so I've got it labeled here where it's effective November 14th and revised March 28th today, 2025.
We need to sign this?
This one here, this is the original, so if we can get you guys to sign this one, that'll
Okay.
be the actual.
So we have a motion and a support.
We
Don't
should.
start signing
We
it.
should. We should. I'm just waiting.
So before we vote on this, I just wanna read through this language, if I might.
That paragraph?
Yeah.
Okay.
The new
And so that paragraph is what's been in place for,
100 years.
since '98 that I know of.
I'm gonna have to stop back after work to sign all these contracts.
Okay,
And then I have time.
that's fine. There's a lot of them there today.
Okay. Everybody ready to vote, or are we good?
Yep.
All right, so all in favor of the motion to approve the, I'm gonna call it the, is it
Revised.
revised, okay, revised
102.
drug and alcohol testing policy. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, it's approved. So how many signed copies do we need?
Just the one.
Just the
Just
one.
this one.
I got this one here, he'll sign it,
All right.
and then we'll make copies.
Say, because I've written on my paperwork.
There you go.
I have to go after this.
Understand?
So, I'm not understanding.
So we'll have all the policy, or all the, projects to approve, and you can sign them when you come back.
Yeah.
But then I am asking to go into closed sessions to discuss negotiations with you
Okay,
at the end here.
sign that, please.
Approve the township contracts. And then we'll go into closed session.
Thank you. So, this is back to Katie or Bob?
I'll take it.
Well,
Reach right.
make copies and hand it out.
Okay, so we have contracts here from, looks like 4 townships. So do I have a motion to approve the contracts that are in front of us from Wright, Amboy, Jefferson, and Scipio townships?
So moved.
Support.
Okay? Any questions? All right, all in favor of the motion to approve the contracts with Wright, Amboy, Jefferson, and Scipio Township, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is approved. And so do I have those?
They're in your folder, they're all the way in the back, they're all paper clipped together.
I see you've done some calculations there.
I was just seeing how close they were. I understand the paper patches, percentages will change based on how much paper patch they use. I know they're not all exactly the same. But this 20 versus 31 seemed larger than the 40 versus 62, and that's totally wrong.
What? Which one's it?
Anyways, 20 versus 31 I thought was worse than the 43 versus 62, and I was wrong. It's actually better. So anyways, so when my numbers look a little funky for me, I like to run my calculator to kind of understand it.
I don't like your calculator.
Yeah.
Just saying. It's usually right, but I don't like it. I don't like Katie's either, so you're not single up.
You like your own calculator then, huh?
He enjoyed me not being here this week.
It was very quiet.
Oh, you took my spot.
That's
All
what
about being in the
was it
right position
yesterday,
at the
there was
right
like two
time.
cars.
I know, it
Like,
comes around to you before it gets to me.
well, hopefully you learned a lot. And
Have
usually you
some
pick up little
chickens,
tidbits, at all those conferences.
You weren't in Cancun?
so. Oh, I wish. With the Lansing.
Sunny Lansing.
Keep them all together.
And this year, probably everybody's talking about all the budget
Oh, it's all budget.
stuff,
I
we just,
think you want everything.
that's like on top of everybody's.
Mm-hmm. No, there's a lot. I want to like kind of look at my stuff and be like, oh, gotta talk
I
about
like
all
how
that.
everybody signed.
That's from a freight.
My mother had him right to the ear.
And then if I left all my papers at home, cause I have notes and stuff circled and highlighted, I don't know this, is ours in that
She
percent?
said I write legibly and graduated high school when I was 40 years old.
Joe learned a lot too about budgets.
What's that?
Joe learned a lot
Well,
about budgets.
too bad some of these kids today don't have somebody like your mother around.
I told her though I did it at 18.
Deep into the budget stuff.
Very
too.
true. Kids
Remember
don't,
that
first of all, a lot of them came in right cursive, and
I was like, this is
secondly, they don't sign their name
fit
legibly.
in here.
I don't know how many farmers I did sign.
But that's what's never happened here. Nobody.
That's your
ever
signature?
did
Who
it.
knows what I could do on
Okay.
it? MTF.
Well, the one that frustrated me the most was a former probate judge we had. that used to-
Well, doctor,
Yeah,
get a doctor.
and that was Albert Newcomb.
Yeah. I didn't learn anything else, I learned how to write my name.
Just pens.
I will give credit to my mother, though, she got me interested in reading.
And now that you talk
Of course,
about that, I
she
had
was
a lot of
tomatoes
those,
at the time,
like
so
when kids come around with their
she took me
resumes and
up to
stuff,
the
we
library.
and the different departments of the county actually had like HR and.
So when I was in the 5th grade, I
And that
loved
was
to read.
actually pretty amazing how they prepped those kids. They came in
Taking a
wearing
library book home all the
jacket and
time.
tie and they had their resume and they were very proper, and they
When it
taught
came
them how
time
to.
for parent teacher
Yeah, I know
conference, my mom went in, told my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Harmon, please don't tell Gary that he needs to read any more books, cause that's all he wanna do, come home and read books.
And honestly, part of
And
it,
Mrs. Harmon said,
they
Mrs.
had
Langmuir,
us to interview.
if every student
kids.
was like your son,
So if they were
I wouldn't
interested
need to
in
tell anybody to
driving a
read.
truck or HR or something, but before time, they picked,
Of course,
They
my
knew who
mother
was
would
gonna
go
be
to
there.
parent
They picked who
teachers
they wanted
conference,
to
and the teacher
go
would
talk
just
to
say,
them, and they had,
Deborah was such
they had
a
to
good
have
student.
questions to ask us. And.
But then your
What's wrong with
sister,
Mark?
that was your sister, right?
He doesn't seem to apply himself.
But it was a good experience for them.
I wanted to be outside,
Yeah,
I didn't want to be cooped up.
I know kids try to get into that program, the career center and all of those.
I'm so scared I'll suck one of these up and choke.
Well, you
Cause
could.
it looks like it comes right
It
through.
does.
Sorry, I'm staring at
At
it.
first time, I was like, what the heck? Some of those skills used to be in school.
Yeah.
When my mom taught 5th grade, she would teach them grooming and
Yeah,
I think that's the last of the contracts.
that's the last of the contracts, I got
I
a
mean,
turn
I
one.
had like home ec and job
Yeah.
and, all those kind of things,
There you go.
auto mechanics and in school.
Do you need the paperclip back?
No, I got a whole stash right here.
Okay,
I come
There's your
prepared.
paper clips, so we need a motion to go to closed session. Correct?
so That's the request from
Maybe that would
Manager
be
Bob.
yours.
Yes, I would request that we go to closed session so I can discuss the negotiations with you.
Okay, so we need to word this so that it specifically says to discuss pending labor negotiations.
I would move that we go to closed session to discuss our, labor negotiations.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion from Kathy and a support from Mark that we go to closed session to discuss pending labor negotiations. And I believe this requires a roll call vote.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Gary Leiniger,
Yes.
Kathy Schmidt,
Yes.
Mark Klein.
Yes. See you, Doug.
Thank you all.
And Katie, you need to note that the other two are absent, please.